I believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. We say that in the Apostles' Creed. We tend to focus a lot on the idea that Catholic means universal and things like that. But I want to focus today on that last word, apostolic. What does it mean to say that our Catholic Church is apostolic? Well, first of all, let's get a little etymology out of the way. Apostle comes from a Greek word, apostello, which means I send. So an apostolos is someone who is sent. That's the root word of what apostle means. Specifically, though, in our faith, we look at the 12 apostles. They were specifically sent by Jesus. But then there are people that come after the apostles, known as the apostolic fathers, because they knew the apostles and they handed on what they taught. Today, we celebrate the feast day of one of those apostolic men, Saint Polycarp. Now, this is important because, well, Polycarp is not someone who actually knew Jesus. He is what we would call the first generation after the original apostles. So he is an apostolic father, not one of the apostles. Polycarp was taught, though, by St. John, one of those great apostles of Jesus who obviously knew Jesus, was there on Good Friday, was an eyewitness to the resurrection. Well, John not only wrote his gospel, but he did what Jesus said to go forth and teach. So he didn't just write, he taught. And one of the people he taught is St. Polycarp. This is important for us today because we can read what Polycarp wrote. And what we see is he is handing on the same thing that St. John taught him. He says it right in his letters. People say he was taught by John. Clearly, what John wrote, we see Polycarp writes, and Polycarp then hands on what he got from John, and he teaches another apostolic father, Irenaeus. And on and on and on through 2,000 years of church history, one person handing on what they received faithfully to the next generation. This is what is known as the apostolic foundations of our church. Notice that we didn't invent the church yesterday. That's why we can't come up with new teachings or think, hey, I think this would be a cool change to the story of Christianity. No, it's been handed on. In fact, you'll probably recognize the word for handing on, traditio in Latin. Tradition. 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 That's where we get our faith today. Not made up, not invented to fit the fashions of the time. You know, think about how much things change in our culture today. I just look back and see what was popular to do in my growing up days. Rolling your jeans, whew, denim all over the place, weird haircuts, vinyl records. Okay, some of that's actually coming back. But that's just it. Fads change. They go in, they go out. We don't want to base our faith on something that is changing all the time. The apostolic foundations of our faith are rock solid. We celebrated that yesterday with the chair of St. Peter. Well, Peter taught. In fact, at Mass, we also name lists of saints every day. We name the 12 apostles, Peter and Paul. You know, Paul's in there too. James, John, Thomas, James, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Simon, and Jude. But then, this next list, Linus, Cletus, Clement. Who are those guys? They're the next popes after Peter. I don't think we often give enough credit to the people who came next after the apostles. After Peter came Linus, Cletus, Clement, Sixtus, Cornelius, Cyprian, Lawrence, Chrysogonus, John and Paul, Cosmas and Damian, all those guys, the names that just get rattled off that make us think, oh, this is the long Eucharistic prayer. No, this is the apostolic Eucharistic prayer. It's a prayer that goes back almost to the time of the apostles, and we name the apostles. We name the other early martyrs of the church to remind us this faith is so important that to hand it on, people were willing to die for the truth of it, not to change a word of it. So that's how Catholics today, we can say, well, this is what we believe, and then we can go back and read it in the Gospels. We can read it in the writings of Polycarp, Irenaeus, Ignatius of Antioch, and on and on. Isn't it great that our faith is based not on the whims of fashion, but on apostolic rock foundation? St. Paul says, I handed on to you what I myself received from Jesus. That's really what we're all called to do. How are you supposed to be an apostle today? Go out and be a good witness to the faith that has been handed on to you. and God bless you.